So, hello everybody, how you all doing? I know it's been a while since I made like a video, well, not that long actually, but anyways, I wanted to talk about how I've set up virtualization my Arch Linux system, because you know, your boy over here likes his Arch Linux, and I have recently jumped ship to Arch Linux, and I absolutely love it. I was able to install my development tools and other video editing software and such, so I'm fully capable of writing code and doing all the things I like doing, even playing video games on the Linux. I should probably make a update video on the gaming situation with Linux, because there are some impressive improvements that I didn't originally notice. Most of my games are currently running just fine on the Linux, if not faster, compared to Windows. So I just want to talk about how I set up virtualization on my Arch system, because it's kind of a bit different than what your mainstream user would use. So for example, my brother likes using VirtualBox, or some of my friends use VirtualBox because it's easier to set up, or you have VMware that you can use also to set it up. My problem with both of these virtualization softwares is that one, they're a pain in the ass to get running. On Windows systems, they're actually really easy to get running compared to all the other options out there. However, in my experience, I was trying to get them running on the Arch Linux. I was trying to get it to work. Like yesterday, I was spending literally hours trying to get it to run. I was trying VMware. That didn't work after a few hours of tinkering with it. VirtualBox, the same thing. I got to the point where I was able to create a virtual machine, but I wasn't able to launch it at all. And the very last thing I did, because I was planning on making a video, like a Arch installation guide, because at one point or another I would have to make it, but then I realized there's actually no point into making that video, because Arch Linux will soon come with its own like installation method. So you can use that new installation method that they're making, or you can use the old school method of installing, which I do still prefer because you have more control over it. The main topic of today's video is virtualization and setting it up on our Linux machine. So as I mentioned, I just had some troubles with VirtualBox and VMware, and to be honest, all they are just GUIs for the basic virtualization software that comes with your Linux system anyways. But there are a few more packages you want to install before you can get this running, but it's actually really simple to do. If you're wondering what I'm downloading right now, I'm downloading a Windows ISO, so I can run it inside of a virtual machine, because there's some things I have to do in Windows that I cannot do in Linux. At least I haven't found a way of doing it, but that's not the topic of today's video. So what we're going to talk about today is actually qemu. Qemu is a virtualization software that is basically a generic open source machine emulator and virtualizer, as it says over here in the Arch Wiki. You can basically use qemu, like the basic terminal rendition of it, because qemu actually allows you to do really cool things that other virtualization softwares don't allow you to do. For example, you can pass through your GPU into a Windows VM, and you can do it with a single GPU. I was trying to get that running, I wasn't able to. But that's fine, we're not gonna talk about that. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna show you how you can set it up for an easy to use setup, so you can use it on your Arch system. This guide is specific for Arch because your boy here likes Arch Linux really fucking too much and spends too much freaking time on his computer and studying Linux. I have a problem, I know. And you might have noticed I've been talking a lot about virtual machines on this channel. I know I promised a video where we'll be talking about the benefits of using one, but seeing as there wasn't much interest, I don't see the point in making it, at least as of now. So if you want to change my mind, you better hit that like button and share it around, because if I see that it has enough traction, I will make a follow-up video talking about virtual machines and why you should use them, or even incorporate them in your daily computing life. So pretty much what you can do is that qemu can be used as one of the other hypervisors like Xen or KVM to use CPU extensions for virtualization. The CPU extensions for virtualizations in this case are AMD-V, Intel's Intel-VT. I'm not really sure how to look it up. Oh yeah, it's actually written over here, Intel VT-D and AMD-V. So you can add that support in, but that's what it's pretty much using to get your virtualization, like virtual machine running. You can follow this entire Arch Linux wiki to get PCI pass-through and everything working, but in my experience, you don't even need to do this. It's not really necessary in my opinion. They show you how you can create a new virtualized system. They use the command line tool, but I'm gonna show you a GUI tool instead, and it's much easier to use, believe me. So over here, I have these commands will be down there in the description below. So if you have a Arch Linux system, you can just run these commands and you'll be able to get them running. Basically, what we're doing is we're installing all the necessary virtualization stuff to get them running. If you have a look over here, these are pretty much the extra packages we installed. So for example, qemu-block-gluster or gluster allows you to use gluster FX blocks. So you could install everything in here to add extra architecture support, but I only picked the required ones for myself. So after installing this qemu stuff, you pretty much could leave this as it is, and you could be using it right away. However, there's still a few more things we need to install to make it as user-friendly as possible for ourselves. We'll install virt-manager. Virt-manager is the virtualization, like virt.io manager, which is basically this thing, this virtual machine manager thing right here. That's what I use. I think it's actually much easier to configure than it otherwise seems. It may seem a little complicated for newcomers, but it's actually really easy once you get used to it. Libvirt is the library for virtualization. Then ebtables and the dnsmasq. dnsmasq pretty much takes care of system calls, and then ebtables is for getting networking running on your virtual machines. So once you copy this command and install everything, you can just copy it and then paste it into your terminal. So you would just paste it in, type in your specific password, and you'll be pretty much ready to go with virtualization on your Arch Linux system. Now, I already have all of these installed, so I'm not gonna bother reinstalling them. But once you get everything installed, you should be ready to go with everything. Once you install everything, you wanna run these 3 commands. What these 3 commands do, they will make sure that your virtualization library, which is required for qemu to work properly, is enabled at startup. To do that, we use the systemctl command to enable libvirtd. I already have libvirtd set to be enabled at startup, so every time I start up my computer, it uses libvirtd at startup, so I don't have to do that. Once you've done that, so you don't have to restart your computer, you can actually start the service of Linux itself using systemctl. Bear in mind, systemctl is for systemd only. If you use something like OpenRC or something else, you'll have to look it up for your init system. Since your boy here uses systemd because most applications rely on systemd to freaking work, we still have to use systemctl. So systemctl will enable at startup, but since we do not want to wait before it starts up, you want to start it by ourselves. We can do this by doing systemctl start libvirt, and then, just to be sure that it's really working, we'll issue a command called systemctl restart libvirt. What this will do, this will make sure it reloads itself with all the proper modules, because at least in my experience, it didn't initialize properly, so I had to issue the restart command and it worked fine. In your case it might be different. I just recommend restarting it. So with that, what are we left with? Well, what we are left with is a simple to use virtualization software. It's actually called Virtual Machine Manager. So if you go to your start and start typing like virt, and will show up like Virtual Machine Manager. You could type in manager and will show up anyway, but this is what you want to have launched, and you'll notice that it's this app right here. Time to create a virtual machine. I think it will be great to leave it up to the next video, because this was already technical enough in my opinion. It wasn't as technical as all my other videos, but I've already been talking for about 12 minutes. As you're watching this, the video is probably shorter. That's pretty much it for the first video. In the next video, we're gonna cover how you can set up your virtual machine so you can actually use it. Again, you can use this time to just restart your computer just to be sure. But once you have done all of that, your machine is pretty much ready for your virtual machine adventures. And you did not have to even pay a single dime. Again, the same goes with VirtualBox or even VMware Player. So yeah, I want to thank all of you for joining me today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I hope to see all of you beautiful people next time.